was a shadow in the government's game. Pawn as a child with no face and no name. They stole my past to leave me cold and alone. Always searching for a place I could call home. I was lost in the dark, just a tool in the hand, till she pulled me close and helped me understand. Now the fire inside is starting to rise. I can see the truth through 1,000 lies. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hellhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. In the dead of the night, I can hear the call. All the ghosts of my past scratching through the wall. My eyes change colors, the power has grown. With Crowley the hound, I am never alone. I used to be hollow, a man made of glass, but now I am reclaiming every year that has passed. Every memory is falling right back into place. I know every name and I remember every face. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hellhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. I ain't running no more, yeah, I'm ready to fight. Gonna settle that debt in the depth of the night. They tried to break me, they tried to erase, but they can't hide the blood from the scars on my face. The veil is thin and the engine is hot. I'm taking back everything that they thought I forgot. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hellhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. I remember it all now. Every single face, I'm calling for you in the dead of the night.
Hello, everybody. My name's Henry. For those of you that don't know, for those of you that do, welcome back. Tonight's part 2 of about the haunted house I lived in, grew up in. We left off with some things that were starting to go crazy. We're going to pick up where I left off. Now, my dad was in and out because he'd work real good on the farm and at the factory. But then something would just go crazy in his head, I guess. He'd take off, be gone for a week, a month. Just never knew when it was going to happen. You just didn't know until he just didn't show up. In the meantime, we had to keep the farm going. Me, my mom, my uncle. There wasn't nobody to help. Well, every night was a fiasco. The house would start acting up. Most people would think, well, heck, you should have just went outside. It was just as bad outside. So you got to understand, it wasn't just the house that was haunted. The land was too. There wasn't a place you could go that something wouldn't happen. It would start right about the time the pole light come on, and most times would go until right before the sun popped up. there was things going on in that house that still to this day I've never seen anything like it, never heard about anything like it. And a lot of these ghost movies that you watch on TV don't even talk about some of this stuff. I mean, yeah, there was shit that oozed in and out of the house, foul smells, and not from just us keeping a dirty house. No, the smells were like rotten flesh, combination of rotten flesh and rotten eggs. And it would just, all of a sudden, it would just smell like that. Sometimes the smell would last 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes it could last all night. And then all of a sudden, when it just, poof, gone. You didn't smell it no more. The water, we had an old well, and the well sat under the porch. You could go into the basement, go into a small crawl space and get to it. But you could also go out on the mud porch and remove the little door and look down in there. Now, we'd always poured bleach in there to keep it cleaned, but there was times you'd turn on the water and it would put out a kind of a milky black looking substance mixed with water, and it'd be running that black looking stuff, kind of almost remind you of motor oil, and then just all of a sudden it would just clear up. The walls sometimes would ooze, the stairs. Pictures would fly off the wall. Furniture would move around. Your sheets sometimes, and blankets, pillows. It was like somebody would grab the ends of the sheets and the blankets and flip them real hard. Pillows sometimes, because we had the old feather type pillows, had the stuffing in them. And sometimes for just no reason, they would flop off the bed and just literally, like they exploded. Feathers would go all over hell and creation, leave a hell of a mess. You couldn't keep trash in the house in the trash can before you went to bed, and before the pole lights come on. You had to take it out and get rid of it, because if not, you'd wake up. It'd be scattered all over inside the house. Dishes, I don't know how many of them got broke, and Mom started investing in paper plates, because they would either fly out of the cabinet, hit the wall, or hit the floor or the table and just bust. They were the old ceramic plates. Silverware, sometimes the forks would be bent, or the tines, which is the part where you stab the meat, or whatever you was eating, they would be bent. So a lot of the forks and stuff, we would try to bend them straight, because Dad was pissing away a lot of money, his check. So any money that was coming in was from the farm, and if anybody knows anything about farming, that's like a once or twice a year payout. So we was trying to survive on that, and it got down to where there was so much shit going on. Like I said, you couldn't run outside, because if you did, the equipment that was driving around with nobody apparently driving it that you could see would literally try to run you down or run you over. So we tried to just hunker down inside the house, and me, my mom, and my uncle just tried to stay in one room. Now, I told you in the last video I'm going to try to go into a lot more detail. I know this is going to sound weird to a lot of people. It got so bad that if my mom had to go to the bathroom, she wouldn't shut the door because you didn't know if you were going to get trapped in there or what. So she would leave the door open, and me and my uncle would sit in the doorway facing away from her, because on a couple of occasions the door went shut and locked, and there wasn't no lock on the door. The water would turn on. Shit that was in the medicine cabinet, or the old mirror medicine cabinets, was being flung at my mom. Anything in the room that was loose that could fly would be hitting her. So we just decided that if somebody had to go to the bathroom, the other two would sit in the doorway so the door couldn't go shut and they couldn't be alone and attacked. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but if you ever been through something like this, you'd quite understand. Like I said, it was bad. Our canned goods would explode. I'm talking about cans like can of beans, cans of tomato juice. My mom done a lot of canning, and even the jars would explode, and a lot of people say, well, that's because she was on her period when she done it. No. Me and my uncle is the ones that done the lids. All she did was juice the tomatoes out in an old colander. It's one that had a handle, and you turned it, and it had like an auger, and the tomato juice come into a big pan that you hooked this colander on. Then you'd heat it up on the stove to cook it down. Then it would go into jars. And me and my uncle, we was one that done the lids and the flats, because we knew, that if it was that time, they would explode. So it wasn't because of that, it was because of what was going on. Now, we did have a big garden. We had to take care of it, because like I said, you couldn't count on my dad. He was in and out, and back in those days, women didn't have much rights. They just tended to try to keep the household together, and the husband was allowed to do pretty much whatever he wanted to. Like I said, there was vehicles that would start up, run around the house. One night, the 2-ton truck started, and we heard it. It started, machine shed doors come open, and this thing come driving up the old dirt road to the house. All night long, the combine, the tractors, the trucks would go around and around that house like it was daring you, like one was trying to drive you into the other. And we watched this 2-ton truck, and I mean, it was a big old truck, go around and around the house, and you would actually hear it clutch and shift into another gear and then accelerate. Then it would downshift and stop. The lights would flash like somebody was pulling the little knob that turned all the lights on, the running lights, headlights and the overhead lights and tail lights. I mean, it was crazy to watch all this stuff unfold while you was also trying to dodge what was in the house going on at the same time. Having shit thrown at you, beds moving, beds bouncing. And I don't know if any of you have ever experienced anything like this here. That house trying to drive us out to where them vehicles were and equipment was going around the house driving. It would sound like tremors in the house. The whole house would just shake and rumble like an earthquake. And there wasn't no earthquakes where we was at. Telephone would ring and you'd pick it up and you'd hear something in there growling, hissing at you. Lights would flicker off and on. Lights would go out for no reason, just poof, out like somebody kicked the breaker. We always try to keep flashlights and lanterns. We had, I know this is going to sound stupid. It's hard talking about this. My mom had ordered 100 baby chickens. And there was one room upstairs that she had laid a bunch of newspapers down and put these big, huge, giant boxes down. And she separated these baby chickens into 25 in a group. And she put these chickens in boxes and we had little lights hanging on them. Because we didn't want to put them outside. They was newborns. And she was going to raise those up. They were Cornish hens. Raise them up, and we was going to have those to put in the deep freeze for that winter. These chickens, baby chickens, they was probably a few days old because she went to the post office and had to pick them up. We had them up there and they was doing real good. While we was in the living room, huddled down, watching the equipment go around the house. All this shit flying around, banging. We heard something big, and I don't know, we never did figure out what it was, but something was running up those stairs. We didn't dare get up and run to see because we was trying to dodge furniture and shit flying. Shit flying off the walls. Basically, trying to keep your head covered and keep an eye on what was going outside. 'Cause we didn't know if these vehicles was going to hit the house and come in and kill us. Or was the goddamn house going to fall on us? But something went up those stairs, and it was loud. We could feel the vibration of every step in the living room because it's hardwood floors. And something went up there, and it sounded like a stick of dynamite went off. Well, we had to do something. So we grabbed flashlights in case the lights flickered off. And we started up those stairs, dreading every step, wondering what we were going to find we got because we never heard nothing coming back. We got to the top of the stairs. The door was barely hanging on the hinges. The lights were off in that room. And they shouldn't have been. Them little chickens still had to have lights because upstairs it was a little cooler. When we got past the door, it looked like somebody took a tub of blood and just flipped it everywhere. These baby chickens were just, it looked like somebody threw a grenade in there. There was fuzz all over the place, and they were just exploded. That scared us to death, but what happened next made us run. And we did, the only thing we could think of was run downstairs, back into the living room. While we were standing there, the lights started flickering. Of course, we had our flashlights. And it sounded like it come from all around, below, all around us, above us. There was a real deep guttural laugh, giggle, lip smacking, and growling. It sounded like a damn lion growling. We didn't waste no time. We run down those stairs, screaming. And no, I'm not ashamed to admit it. It scared us to death. We thought we was going to die right there. Now, my mom was the oldest. Then Uncle Terry. Then me. So basically the only grown-up was my mom. My dad was out fucking partying someplace, like some kind of baboon. We run back downstairs. That house never ever, I don't care how hot it got outside, it never got hot inside. I guess maybe because of the high ceilings. I have no clue. But we went downstairs, and we didn't want to run the batteries out. Because like I said, he was gone partying. God knows how long he was going to be gone. So we had to try to make things last. We always kept a little bit of firewood in front of the fireplace. So my mom got some old cardboard and newspapers and started a fire in the fireplace so we could at least have light, and just in case. And she opened that flue all the way so that way most of the heat would go up. And it was just a small fire, just something we could see by. So it wasn't in total darkness, because we didn't have a pole light out there. Like we had porch lights. She started the fire, and we got pallets. In case nobody knows what a pallet is, where you take, this was before air mattresses. You take a real heavy comforters, lay them down, or a feather mattress. Lay them down. You'd lay on top of that, put your pillow there, put your head on it, and then cover up with the blankets. Well, we were too scared to go to sleep, so we're laying there on our pallets, listening to all these vehicles and stuff, and hearing everything in the other rooms, shit banging, and you'd see in there in the kitchen there, you'd see the table slam across the floor into the wall, chairs slamming, dishes flying. The sink would turn on, the bathroom sink would turn on, toilet would flush, bathtub would turn on, the shower would turn on. It was just a fucking fiasco. And there's nothing you can do about it. If you go in there and turn it off, it's going to turn right back on. The way we figured, if we left it alone, it would shut itself off. We didn't know how to handle it, how to deal with it. There wasn't no handbooks. There wasn't no ghost shows like there is now on YouTube and on TV. We had to wing it. You're going to find out why in a minute. It's probably going to turn your stomach, but this is true. One night, it settled down outside. The vehicles went back down there by the machine shed and shut off, and it was pretty quiet outside, but in the house it was starting to really ramp up, and we was like, okay, now it's time to make a break. Well, we turned the porch light on so we could see out there. Make sure there wasn't no vehicles sitting around, no equipment that was going to run over us. Mom had an old car. It was right there in the driveway, so we made a run for it in our pajamas. As soon as we hit that car, we all got in, and my mom hit the key on that thing and put it in drive, and she tore out of there like the Dukes of Hazzard. We look back and see the lights flickering in the house. I won't say my aunt's name, but we headed to her house. We got there, we sat in the car for a few minutes because we were still in shock. Pulled in, and they was up, still watching TV. So we had a dilemma. Do we tell them? how we going to explain, hey, you mind if we spend the night because it's pretty freaky out there? Mom decided she was going to tell him the truth. Well, she knocked on the door and they answered the door and had us come in. We went into the dining room, sat down, and my aunt asked my mom, what are y'all doing out this time of night? She said, well, let me grab some stuff out of the refrigerator and we'll just have a snack while we're sitting here talking. My mom started explaining to her the shit that we was experiencing out there and why we left this particular night. Her and her husband sat there and listened a little bit, and finally they was like, we don't want that on us. You just go right back where you come from. We don't want that shit in here. Don't bring it in here. Yeah. Told us to leave. Afraid that might follow us to her house. So we went back and got in the car. My mom was bawling. So we headed back down the road. We come to our turnoff and Mom turned off there, off the highway onto the old gravel road. Got down there by the railroad track and she sat there and bawled like a baby. Now, we had other aunts and uncles on both sides that lived in that area. But she went to the one that she thought would actually help her. Give us refuge, at least for the night. She wasn't going to trust going to nobody else because she put all of her chickens in one bag and we was told to leave. So we had a choice. Do we go to the park and sleep in the vehicle? Take a chance on a cop coming and asking us what the hell we're doing there? Thinking we're nuts? Or do we go back and sit at the end of the lane and when things aren't acting crazy, drive back down that lane, park, and run for the house again? Well, that's exactly what we did. Like I said, Mom asked and we was told to leave. So we did. Ain't gonna stay someplace where we ain't wanted. Well, we sat at the end of the lane watching and it seemed pretty quiet. So my mom turned off of the gravel road down our lane and creeping down that lane real slow, wondering, is that big truck or the big tractor going to come flying up the road and head on us and kill us all? Or is it going to wait till we get down there and the equipment's going to get between us and the house and kill us there? We didn't know. We had no place else to go. Mom was afraid to ask anybody else. We done got turned down by the one that she counted on. So she drove slowly down there and we all kept watching. It was dead quiet. Kind of like an old cemetery. We got down there and she goes, now when I shut the car off, I'll meet you guys on the passenger side, because the passenger side was toward the house. And she goes, and then we make a run for it. That's exactly what we did. My mom shut the engine off, shut the lights off. She ran around to the passenger side, and my uncle grabbed me, and all three of us went running for the house. We had to stop to open the gate to get in the yard. But once we got that gate open, we didn't worry about shutting the damn thing. We hauled ass on up to the house. Didn't even bother locking it when we left because, somebody breaks in, they'll lose their goddamn mind in there or they won't get out, one or the other. That's how scared we was. We went in and it was, I'm not kidding you, you could hear a pin drop. No noise, no nothing. We started turning a few lights on so we could see. And it was an eerie quiet. Like walking through a minefield at nighttime waiting for somebody to get their damn legs blowed off. And that's about the mindset we had. Like, okay, what's it going to be, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5, 10, or an hour before shit hits the fan? This house, I ain't saying we heard it laugh at us, but it put out an ambiance that night, a feeling. As if to say, are you waiting? Are you ready? Take a guess when it's going to start. That's just a feeling you got. I mean, it was like this house fucking toyed with you. And don't think about running outside because it's just as dangerous and as bad outside as it is on the inside. But at least on the inside, you got walls surrounding you. I mean, yeah, one of those trucks or tractors could have crashed into the house and killed all of us. But it's like it liked to mind screw you. It was tough to deal with. Well, that night, first couple hours, it was deadly quiet. So we tried to grab us a little small bite to eat a snack. Then it was time for, one by one, for each one of us to take a bath. And we did it the same way as when you used the bathroom. Two of us would sit in the doorway with our back toward the bathroom, while the other shit-shaved and showered. I know, there's probably going to be some people thinking, you sick bastards. No, it was that dangerous. You didn't live it. If you lived it, you'd understand. It was too dangerous for one person to be in there alone and shut the door. You wouldn't be able to get out and you'd be at the mercy of whatever's in that house. We wasn't taking no chances. So we done the best we could. There ain't no handbooks back in those days. There wasn't no 1-800 call Ed and Lorraine Warren. What the hell they gonna do anyway? Nothing. You didn't talk about it back in those days very much. There was not very many cases that were discussed. It didn't come out in the newspaper or on TV. Nothing like that. You had to deal with it. Or leave and go sleep in a park. So we was stuck there. My dad knew what was going on, but he pretended nothing was going on and took off partying and left us there. 2 kids and his wife. Left us like an old cat that had babies and she was ready to go start chasing. So we had to deal with it as best we could. Try to survive it. He didn't give a shit. Wasn't his ass staying there. He was out partying and playing with hookers and everything else. Left us there holding the bag. Well, after a period of time, because he wasn't back, tending to the farm, talking to the bankers, and taking care of business like he should have been, They shut our electricity off. Back in those days, they didn't give a shit. That bill wasn't paid. Psh, there wasn't no warning. They just pulled the meter. The phone got shut off. Well, then the gas barrel never got filled, which we kept a gas and a diesel barrel out there, never got filled. Because why? He wasn't there to make the payments on it. This is one of the reasons why I never make fun of somebody that's poor. And I've helped a lot of poor people, even though I'm not rich either. Because I've been there. That son of a bitch was out partying, and we had to fend for ourselves. So now we're down to Coleman lanterns, one of them camp and cook stoves, because once the oil barrel ran out, the fuel barrel, the big tank, propane tank, we had to have some way to cook, some way to eat, heat water on a camping stove, carry it in there and pour it in the bathtub. Take what a lot of people call a whore bath. But we wasn't going to lay around and go stinking and dirty either. So we made do. As far as something to eat, most of the canned goods exploded. Most of the stuff that we canned in jars exploded. Yeah, we had hogs, we had cattle. We never butchered anything. Got down to where we was eating what we had in the garden. Baby chickens had all been killed upstairs. By what? We have no clue. How? We don't know. Looked like they exploded. So we started eating what we had in the garden. Green beans, potatoes, carrots, corn. You can only survive like that so long without some kind of meat. So, belly gets kind of hungry. That other stuff just don't. It's a filler. It's not something that'll hold you. It's a filler. It's kind of like rice. You eat rice and you get bloated full. And about 20, 30 minutes later, you're back hungry again. So we had guns. My mom told us one day to take the gun. And she told us what pin it was. And to kill an old sow. Told us the tag number in the ear. We went down there and shot that old pig. Got the old Ford tractor out and hooked log chain around her back feet. Took her back there by the machine shed. Raised her up in the air. We skinned that pig out. We gutted her. Then we hauled the whole thing up to the house. We had coolers up there. Several great big coolers. Had some ice in there. We cut up what we could. It wasn't no pretty cuts. It wasn't no pretty pork chops and pork steaks and like that there. We just cut it off the bone. It filled them coolers. Took the rest down the old dirt road past the machine shed and put it out there. Before we could get the log chains off that hog's legs to drop the carcass, there was 2 dog men standing there watching out of the brush. You talking about scared to death? I was scared shitless. We unhooked that hog and what was left of her, pushed her over the edge down that hill. These things didn't wait for that hog to hit the bottom. They was on that like a great white shark after a surfer. We got on that tractor and got the hell out of there. We could hear more coming back there in the brush. We wasn't sticking around to see how many it was, but we got the hell out of there. Went back up to the house and told Mom. Next few days we ate pretty good. They said there wasn't no pretty cuts. But it packed a turd. Sorry about that, but we were just trying to survive. My dad didn't give a shit, and the rest of the family didn't give a shit either. They didn't give a shit. We laid out there and got haunted to death or starved to death. They didn't give a shit. As long as we didn't bring the spooks to their house. Well, my mom done the best she could. And we tried to help as much as possible. Those years were rough. Trying to deal with a haunted house, haunted farm, and trying not to starve to death, freeze to death, or sweat to death. I said there wasn't no help. My mom's dad's brother was a preacher. You know, he showed up out there one day and asked my mom, how come you guys ain't been to church? My mom goes, look around. Do you see my husband anywhere? We live in a haunted house, a haunted farm. Is there anything you can do, maybe? Can't help you. But, well, I see you in church. My mom told him off. But he did tell Mom that he did feel there was some kind of evil forces at work. And she goes, well, can you do something about it? Maybe bless the house, bless the farm, something? Said he wasn't trained for that. Then he got in his car and left. Just left us there. My mom's dad come out, asked if he'd been out to see us, and Mom goes, yeah, and I run him off. You gotta understand, my mom's dad wasn't no choir boy. He goes, well, sis, you shit in your nest. You chose to marry that son of a bitch. So I suggest you find a shovel and scoop the shit out your own nest. I'm going home now. My mom said, what about what's going on here? And he goes, not my problem. You chose to marry that son of a bitch? You can just stay right there and scoop the shit out your nest. He got in his truck and left. Simply left. Hard lesson, I guess. Don't know. That night, My mom was trying to cook up some more of the pig meat. And we're sitting there at the table eating. And it's dark. We can hear the dog men out there walking along, scratching on the side of the house, growling. See their glowing amber colored eyes as they walk past windows. Hear the equipment starting, coming up the road to the house. We're sitting there trying to get our bellies full, preparing for a long night, being trapped into whatever room we end up getting chased into. Sometimes you'd be in the living room and it'd get so bad in there, we would go into the hallway, dragging our blankets and pillows, only to get chased out of there into the next room. Try getting sleep like that. You don't get very much. So anyway, it was nice to see the morning light whenever it showed up. But you still had stuff to do. And back in those days, a bag of ice was, a great big bag of ice was like 25 cents. We didn't have a lot of money. So we needed ice. Go to the store and you had enough money to buy a bag of, or a box of tea bags, 5-pound bag of sugar, 4 or 5 bags of ice, maybe a bottle of ketchup, a box of salt, and go home. That's all you could afford. Now here's the kicker. While my aunts and uncles was sitting there at their fucking houses eating pork chops and steaks, shrimp, crab, they didn't give a shit. Don't bring no haunted shit in here. You stay out there. They didn't give a shit what the hell we was eating, or if we was eating at all. There ain't no love lost. I've kept it under my hat for lots of years. And I'm tired of keeping it under my hat. Go home and try to cook what you could, what you had to eat, what you get out of the garden. Afraid to go out there and be picking beans if it was getting toward the evening because you didn't know if one of the trucks was going to start up or the tractor run you over. Or if you'd be out there picking beans, trying to look to pick the beans, not be able to see a creature coming after you. Or wondering if you got the beans and stuff in the house, what was going to happen. All this shit run through your head. And there ain't no damn books or nobody there to tell you what to do about it. You're basically a ship in the open ocean during a storm with no rudder, no sail. You're just at the mercy of the sea. We tried to do the best we could. Survive day to day. Thinking, okay, we survived tonight. It's daytime. Let's see if we can survive one more day. And the next day we tell ourselves one more day. That's how we survived. Then out of nowhere my dad would just show up like Good Time Charlie. Like he'd never been gone. He'd only went outside to feed the hogs to come back. Bullshit. We was all getting pretty tired of it. Did anybody say anything? No, because back in those days you didn't say nothing unless you wanted to eat your teeth. We ought to pretend like, oh, wow, we're glad to see you. After he left us there to fucking fend for ourselves. And you know what he said when he come in? How come the lights ain't on? 'Cause you wasn't here to pay the bill. The stove working? I need some coffee. Propane tank's run out of fuel. You wasn't here to pay it. Well, fuck, I ain't staying here. He'd take off again. Not caring. What happened? It's you guys' fault. You stay here. He'd take off and go stay someplace else. Knowing what we was going through out there, 'cause he'd been going through it too. That's the way he was. Well, eventually he did come back home. Electricity got turned on, tank got filled up, phone got turned on. Why? 'Cause it was time to get crops out. My uncle decided he'd stay up with my mom. I didn't know it, but he'd had enough. He couldn't take it no more. And I can't say to blame him. I still don't blame him today. If you had talked to him today, he'd only tell you a couple things. That house was creepy. It was haunted. It was hell on earth. That's all he'll say about it. He don't want to talk about it. He don't want to discuss it. While I was with Dad back in the field, we had a Gleaner combine, corn picker, bean picker. It only picked 4 rows, but it was brand new. Good running machine. Pretty easy to work on. His dad come out, and we was back there picking corn. And the farm had been kind of quiet. Kind of like a volcano waiting to erupt. Back there picking corn, and during the day, Grandpa was hauling the loads to town. I rode on the Gleaner combine with my dad. Even though he was a fucking asshole, for whatever reason, he was still my dad. And even though he'd left us there like that, not once but several times, to sink or swim. Don't ask me why. I thought he was being like a hero, one of the old-time cowboys. I wasn't old enough or smart enough to realize he was just a shithead. But anyway, I was back there riding the combine. I was watching the rabbits out ahead, and the deer moving over rows where we hadn't picked. Well, got toward dark. My dad started getting nervous because Grandpa hadn't come back yet. Basically, he wanted to fuck out of that field, is what it was. But he acted like he was worried about Grandpa. He wasn't. He wanted out of that field. Because what we seen next, I'd already known about, and he knew about it too, but it scared the shit out of us anyway. As them rabbits and deer was moving to the next roll over, as we got closer to the wood line, we noticed there was dog men lined up along that field like a relay. They was trying to catch them deer and rabbits wherever they could catch to eat. Every time we'd make a turn at the end of the field and the lights would go across the timber line, you could see them lined up along there, looking around, waiting and watching. I'll tell you, me and my dad both breathed a sigh of relief when we seen that big old 2-ton truck coming down that old dirt road back to that field. Grandpa got back there, and that's I hope, my God, I hope he don't shut that off. Dad killed that old cleaner. I mean, he shut her off, just bam. He didn't let her cool down. He just shut her off, and he jumped out on that platform, and down the ladder we went. We went running for the truck, and Grandpa was like, "What the hell's wrong with you guys?" Dad said, "Let's get the hell out of here." Grandpa turned that old truck around, wondering what the hell's going on. Dad said, "Look." He said, "I see them orangish colored eyes. What the hell is it?" Of course, we didn't know what a dog man was, so closest thing we could come to is werewolf. I was like, "You guys are full of shit." So Grandpa turned and headed toward that tree line, and sure enough, there they were standing there on 2 legs, on their hind legs. My grandpa started cramming gears. I'm surprised he didn't turn that big old truck over, even though it was empty. As fast as we was going down to them hills and that dirt road to get up to the house, it scared that poor old man. We got to the house. He stopped, and we all run in the house. He goes, "How long has this shit been going on?" My mom started telling him, and Dad started telling him. He goes, wait a minute, I can't hear both conversations, one at a time. So Dad was talking, then Mom started talking, and me and my uncle just sat there, backing up everything she said. He goes, "You mean to tell me these creatures come up here at nighttime, scratching and banging on the house?" Mom goes, "You want to come outside and look at the side of the house?" He said, "I want to see this." He walked out there, and it looked, and there ain't no bear around there, but it looked like a herd of friggin' bears had went by clawing and scratching and digging on the side of that old wooden house. He didn't know what to make of it. Then it come out about the equipment driving by itself. Now he thought our cheese slipped off our cracker and fell on the floor, and the dog ate it. "Well, I'm just going to stick around and see." I said, "You won't have to wait very long, because pole light's getting ready to come on." And there wasn't even a pole light, but I meant it's getting dusk. Mom turned the porch light on. We were sitting there and talking, and him and Dad was drinking coffee. Now, he had the key to that 2-ton truck that was Dad and Mom's in his pocket. He was going to go down and put it in the machine shed, and Dad goes, "I don't think I'd do that if I was you." All of a sudden, that 2-ton truck started up, the lights kicked on. Normally, they stayed outside of the fence. I ain't sure what caused it to do anything any different, but it went into reverse, grabbed its motor, and then it come through that gate, the yard gate, right up toward the porch. And it just sat there, revving up. My grandpa didn't know what to say. He thought it was somebody, so he seen the old 12-gauge pump sitting over there in the corner. He picked it up, checked to make sure it had shells in it. "I'm going out there." Dad said, "You ain't going shit. That is a trick. As soon as you go out there, either one, them werewolves will get you, or two, you'll get run over by a piece of equipment. Best thing you can do is just sit here." And my grandpa said, "Bullshit." He went to the door all right. When he got to the door and stepped out, on one side of the house, there sat the combine full of corn, and we had left it back in the field. On the other side sat the Ford tractor, and they was both running. My grandpa backed himself back in that door real quick. Then the house started acting up. Chairs started sliding across the floor. Beds were shaking. Dishes were rattling. What little bit of dishes we had left. We all retreated to the living room. My grandpa made a mistake, and before my mom could tell him, he opened up the curtain to look. There was a dog man, had its hands pressed against the window, and them eyes just a blazing orange, smiling, showing those teeth. I thought my grandpa was going to blow the window out. Didn't take him long to close that curtain. Then the scratching started on the house. This stuff kept going on up until about 4:30 in the morning, and then all of a sudden it was like somebody turned the key. Everything at once stopped. My grandpa, I'd never seen that man tremble in my life. That night, I seen that man weeping like a baby, and he was trembling. We walked him out to the truck. We wanted to go with him. We didn't dare ask. That man got in his truck. I'd never seen him drive fast a day in my life. That night I did. I don't know how I made the corner at the end of the driveway, but he went home. Well, a couple days later he come back out. This time he didn't come alone. He brought his own shotgun. We had corn to get out. So we got in a 2-ton truck. My grandpa looked that truck over trying to figure out what the hell would cause this. But he didn't say nothing, but we could tell what he was doing. He was looking things over. We went back down that old road to go pick the corn. As we come past the pond, it looked like colored lights in the pond. Not sure what it was, and it was bubbling. And I'd never seen that pond bubble before. We drove past it real slow, and Grandpa was talking about it. Went on back, got in the combine. Got her fired up. Dad emptied that load of corn from the other day when we'd picked, and it usually took 2 of those combine loads to make a 2-ton truckload of corn. So we started picking, and Grandpa drove along beside us where we'd already picked, and as it was coming into the hopper, it'd go out the auger into the back of the truck, and then when it got full, Grandpa was going to go to the elevator and drop it off for us. And then while he was gone, we would keep picking, and he'd come back and same process. Well, we got all that field done while he was gone. Dad said the next day or two is going to be clear, so we was going to take combine when my grandpa got back and go to the next field and just park the combine there and cover the hopper with a tarp, and then start in a new field the next day. Well, Grandpa come back, so he followed us to the next field, and we got in the 2-ton truck and got the tarp out and covered the hopper on the combine. Climbed in the truck with him, and it was about time Polite should be coming on. Grandpa wanted to fuck out of there, so we got in the truck with him, and he wasn't letting no grass grow under his feet, trust me. We come down to them hills and hollers, and I'm not kidding you, it's winter, it didn't turn us over, but the old man knew how to drive. We come back past that pond, and there was we didn't know what they were at the time, but now we know they was orbs coming up out of that pond. And they would circle above the pond a couple of feet in the air, go back in the water, and the water was bubbling, like it had an aerator in it. We sat there and looked at it for a while. What the hell? Finally, Grandpa said, let's get out of here. It's going to be getting crazy, and I don't want this truck to take off by itself. He was scared. We got up to the house, and he dropped us off, and he parked a 2-ton truck right there by where the gate used to be, right close to his truck, and he jumped into his truck and hauled ass and left. Next day he come out, and we jumped in the 2-ton truck and headed back to the field. Mom said she would come back there and bring sandwiches and stuff. So we get an early start. We got back there, we got one hell of a surprise. The combine hadn't moved. There wasn't a corn stalk, an ear of corn in that field that had not been picked. My dad looked at my grandpa and he's like, some son of a bitch stole our corn. So Grandpa parked the 2-ton truck there in the shade and put the emergency brake on and pulled the key. We walked all over that field. There wasn't no tire tracks. There wasn't no combine tracks, no tractor tracks. But that corn had been picked. We noticed something too. That time didn't seem like it meant anything to us. Grandpa looked up. He had a ball cap on. He looked up and wiped the sweat off his head and looked up and he was like, that sky's the funniest looking damn color I ever seen. Kind of a greenish gold colored sky. Looked like it was hazy, cloudy out. And he just kept going on about it. He'd never seen a sky like that. We looked across the field and the neighbor was over there picking his corn. So he made a round by the fence and stopped and got out and come over and he said, I thought you guys just parked, I thought I seen you guys park the picker last night and this field wasn't picked. And Dad said we didn't pick it. Some son of a bitch come in here and stole their corn. The guy said, well, that's weird. I was out here last night in that other field over there, and he said, I didn't see nothing. Now, anybody that knows anything about picking corn and them combine, you have to run a light, otherwise you just tear the hell out of stuff. You'd knock more corn over than you'd pick. So you have to use running lights to see, to make sure you get them fingers in those grooves in them rows to get the corn. Otherwise you just knock it all over and run it, smash it in the ground. So we'll walk around looking for tracks, and here come my mom in the old pickup. She pulls up there and she goes, I thought you said you hadn't picked that field. And Dad goes, we have it. Some son of a bitch stole the corn. So she get out. We all started looking around for track, couldn't find none. Neighbor was even looking as he was walking back toward his field. Didn't see nothing either. While we was out in the center of that field looking for tracks, we heard a big rumble. Almost sounded like thunder way off in the distance, but it wasn't. All of a sudden, only right over that field, the sky opened up. And I'm not joking. That corn that was missing was now raining down on us from the sky. It was coming from the sky. Don't know what the hell, how in the hell it got up there, or what the hell was keeping it up there. It rained corn, and I'm not shitting nobody. And no, I don't drink. No, I don't mess with dope. This did happen. The sky rained corn. Now, corn falling from the sky hit you, it friggin' hurts. We took off running, trying to find cover. Getting pelted by this corn is like being out in a hailstorm, but corn's only about the size of your pinky, the first joint. We're running, getting pelted by this damn corn. Our field was gold with corn that had been picked by something up there above us. It did that for about an hour. Then all of a sudden, just stopped. Now you talking about fucking weird? That's weird. We're all sitting there like, what the hell just happened? How'd this corn get picked? It's in the sky, raining corn on the ground and knocking the shit out of us as it's coming down, hitting us. My grandpa and dad and mom sat there and talked about it a little bit, and they go, well, I guess I better call the insurance company. So we go back to the house. He calls the insurance company, and they said, we'll be right out. If you're lying, your ass is going to prison. Not jail, prison. That insurance guy come out there, and we all headed to that field. And that poor insurance guy walked around, same as we did, looking for tracks. Couldn't find no tracks nowhere. But all that corn was all over that field on the ground. Had been shucked out the cob and was on the ground. He walked around probably about an hour, scratching his head and doing some figuring. He goes, I don't know how you done it, but I'm going to go ahead and write a check to cover this. Base, I can tell you right now, if I find out you hoaxed this somehow, I will make it my life mission to send your ass to prison. My dad said, do you see any goddamn hoax? There ain't no damn hoax here. I don't know what the hell happened, but the corn's on the fucking ground. You see it. You see any tracks? He goes, I can't explain this here, but I'm telling you, I'm going to keep investigating this, and if I find out there's a hoax, your ass is going to prison. He meant it. Well, it didn't totally go to waste, because we fenced it in and put cattle back there and let them eat it. We got paid. Do we know what caused or how that happened? No, have no clue. But then again, explain to me how it rains fish. Yes, there is cases of that. I don't know, did the UFO pick it up? Your guess is good as mine. Hell, as far as I'm concerned, it could have been Santa Claus or anything. We don't know. We didn't see nothing other than the corn raining. We didn't see no spaceship. Nothing like that. It just rained corn. The corn was up there in the clouds. That's why Grandpa said the sky looks funny. And then it's like the sky opened up, instead of it raining, it rained corn. I don't know. I told you that whole farm was fucking crazy. It was haunted, possessed, whatever you want to call it, cursed, all the above, and even the below. We never did figure out how that happened. They investigated it for almost a year. Insurance company couldn't come up with no logical reason. Well, things had kind of quieted down for a time. My mom's sister's husband come out with his boys, and me and my cousin went out there in the machine shed and climbed up on the tractor. I wasn't big enough to put it in gear, start it, put it in gear and make it move, but we was up there pretending. He was sitting there on the fender well. I pretended I was driving to the fields. Maybe plowing, maybe disking. Can't remember, it's been so long ago. My dad and my uncle was back on the other side of the machine shed, and they was working, doing something to the 2-ton truck, taking a dual off and gonna have it fixed or something. I was sitting in the seat with my hands on the steering wheel, and this tractor was a big sumbitch. It wasn't no little bitty tractor, it was a big one. It was the biggest one they made at the time. We're sitting there and I'm making tractor noises and playing like a kid does. I seen the key turn to start up the glow plug light. The glow plug light on the dashboard turned orange. And I know this from seeing my dad do it. The glow plug orange light stayed on for a little bit, and when it went off, the key turned further. As I was watching, the little black button got pushed. I seen the choke come out, seen the throttle move, and that tractor started. Now we had a rain cap on the stack, and it sits on top. When that tractor starts, it sits flat to keep the rain out from inside the muffler stack. When it starts, that rain cap bounces up and down, lets exhaust out. I watched the throttle bump up. Black diesel was rolling out that damn stack, and that old rain cap was wide open. I looked down, clutch went in. The brake, emergency brake, parking brake, went off. I seen the gear shift move into reverse. And I went to screaming and hollering. I didn't know what was going to happen next. And this was during the day. The clutch let out, and we started going backward, wide open. And that big giant Ford tractor. And the steering wheel was moving. And I was trying to hold on to it, trying to keep it straight so it didn't back into the wall. I couldn't hang on to it. That steering wheel was back and forth, turning. You know, it was like... I seen the machine shed door behind us coming closer and closer because we was in reverse, running wide open. Me and my cousin ducked down between the fender wells and hung on for dear life. Before my uncle and dad could get over there, that tractor done hit that big giant doors. That tractor and us tore that 2 big bay doors right off that big machine shed. Went out about 100 foot backwards. And that old dirt road, and all of a sudden, Brakes went on real easy, clutch went in, key turned off. The old tractor shut off. First, they made sure we was okay. Then my dad liked to beat me to death. My uncle had to pull him off of me. He was beating my back and my ass. First with his hand, then with his fist. My uncle finally pulled him off of me. I didn't walk for a couple days. Couldn't lay on my backside or sit. He beat me so bad that I was bleeding. Had bruising, swelling. Couldn't even hardly walk. He thought I'd done that on purpose. I couldn't even reach the clutch. And even if I could reach the clutch, I couldn't push it in. I wasn't strong enough to push it in. Well, he had thought about it after a few days, when he cooled off. And even though he apologized, it didn't mean shit to me. Don't beat a kid like that. But he did. Just because of his friggin' temper. He called it was a brand new tractor. He called the company where we bought it from, the implement dealer. They sent a big old truck out there, and a couple of guys come out and they looked the tractor over, and well, take it into the dealership and look it over. That's a brand new tractor, still under warranty. By then, I'd started healing enough where I was up going. After a few days, they had me go in with Dad and Grandpa into the implement dealer. There was our big old tractor. I couldn't even climb up the damn ladder to get on the damn thing. It had like 2 or 3 steps, a ladder thing out there in front of the back wheels. They put me up on the platform and opened the door, and I climbed in. The guy stood there in the opening of the door, and he goes, "You know how to start this thing?" Yeah, I watched my dad do it enough times. Start it. I turned the key. The glow light come on. Glow plug light come on, little orange light. I waited for the buzzer to stop. The light went out. I tried to turn the key further. Nothing. The guy said, "I thought you said you knew how to start it." I said, "Well, I can't reach that pedal thing down there." The guy said, "Well, hop off the seat and stand on that pedal and see if it'll go in." It wouldn't budge. The guy thought, well, maybe it's sticking or something, so he pushed the clutch right in. He goes, "You ain't heavy enough, you ain't got enough ass to push that clutch in." No, I know that's what you have to do to start it. So they sent it to the factory. They took that tractor completely apart, went through everything, put new parts and stuff on it, but they still couldn't figure out how that tractor started. Put itself in gear and back through them damn machine doors with me and my cousin on it. I wasn't allowed to say nothing because my dad would have beat the hell out of me. I didn't say the place was cursed and haunted. My dad would have killed me. They'd been going to my funeral instead of bringing that tractor out to the house. They brought it out there. I wasn't allowed to say nothing. We can't find a damn thing wrong with it. We put all new parts on it, but And it had the latest. Of course, back in those days, there was a lot of safety features, but for its time, it had safety features. They said they couldn't find nothing wrong with that tractor. Must have just been a fluke. Needless to say, I didn't get back on that tractor and play anymore either. My dad had some guys come out and they fixed the new bay doors, the big doors you slide. I didn't play in the trucks or the tractor or the combine after that. Piss on that shit. My dad damn near killed. If the barn wasn't going to kill me, my dad was going to. I was like, I ain't playing on that thing. No, thank you. I'm good. My uncle, right up until he passed away, he used to always give me shit all the time. Remember that time you started tractoring and went to the back of the shed? I just started my ass. I couldn't even push the clutch in. You have to have a clutch in to start the damn thing. He just laughed. Yeah, I know. That was crazy shit, wasn't it? If he only knew the half of it. About some of the other shit we was going through there. But anyway, my dad seriously did damn near kill me. And damn near beat me to death. That's why I can take a lot more pain than most people. Some of those those wasn't whippings, those were beatings I would get. There's a difference. A whipping's when they use their open hand and paddle your ass with it. He started out paddling, then it went to this, and if you fell down, he'd start kicking you and stomping on you. That's the kind of whippings, that's what he called whippings. No, them was fucking beatings. There's a difference, big difference. But anyway, I survived. And I survived that farm too. Things have been kind of calm there, so Dad and guys made pretty good money on the corn and beans, so he was going to try to make things up to Mom and take her out someplace to eat. Have a night on town. I was going to stay home. My uncle, he had moved back home. He had enough of that shit. He didn't like that. He said we was crazy as hell for staying, but we didn't have no place to go. Anyway, the guy that my grandma and grandpa raised, I still consider him an uncle, even though he ain't blood. His wife, real nice lady. They've been divorced for years, though. She lived out Texas way. She come out to babysit me that night. Her name was Jen. Real nice lady. Come out to babysit, and she come out about an hour before Dad and Mom got ready to go out. And she kept giving me shit all the time. She could talk some shit. But she was funny. I loved her to death. She was cool. She goes, well, you ready to spend the night with a good-looking woman? I said, Jen, you think tonight's going to be fun. I'm here to tell you, it may not be. I said, what do you mean? I said, well, I can't talk. My dad's here, but this place is haunted. Get the hell out of here. I said, I'm serious. It is haunted. You better hope you don't find out tonight. You better hope tonight it stays calm like it has been the past couple of weeks. If not, you're in for one hell of a ride. My mom and dad said their goodbyes, and down the driveway they went. So what do you want to do first? You want to get your bath first? Then we'll make some popcorn? Then we'll sit and watch spooky movies? I said, shit, this house is a spooky movie. She goes, will you be serious? I said, I'm telling you the truth. If this house goes into acting like it has been, you'll lose your goddamn mind. She just laughed and, I'll make the decision for you if you ain't going to. Go get your bath, and I'll be here in the kitchen, cook some supper. We'll have supper, and in a little bit we'll have popcorn and watch TV. That's okay. I said, but leave the damn door open. She goes, I don't want to see your little white skinny butt. I said, leave the door open. So she's kind of laughed and left the door open, and she started getting pan and stuff ready. And every so often I'd peek to make sure that door was still open. I didn't want to be trapped in there. She had no clue. She thought I was joking. I got my bath, dried off, got my clothes on, and went in to set the kitchen table, and she started setting food on the table. All of a sudden, there was a growl. And she looked around like, what the hell is that? I said, I told you. Looks like it's going to be a rough night. All of a sudden, that growl sounded like it come somewhere by where we was at, there in the kitchen. She backed up like, where the hell's it coming from? I said, somewhere right here between me and you. Well, she moved around to the other side of the table. And we're listening. And you could hear something walking in the kitchen. You just couldn't see it. Well, we retreated into the living room. And she goes, where does your dad keep his guns? I said, we have to go all the way around to the mom and dad's bedroom. Jen was good with a gun. She knew her way around a gun. We could hear this thing in there walking around in the kitchen. We couldn't see it. So we took the other way and went around to the bedroom. She grabbed that 12-gauge pump. We were sitting there on mom and dad's bed, and you could hear it coming now past the other bedroom, and that's the bedroom just before you get to my mom and dad's. And we was in there sitting on the bed with the door shut. You could hear this thing headed toward the bedroom door where we was at. She made sure there was shells in that thing, and she brought it up to her shoulder. She was going to blow whatever the hell it was coming through that door. She was going to blow it back out. And actually knew she would do it. But this thing never opened the door. The handle turned, but it didn't open. And she hollered, I don't know who in the hell you are, but I got a 12-gauge shotgun aimed right at that door. As soon as you open it, I'm going to blow your ass right up against the wall. This thing didn't back up or nothing. It was standing outside the door, whatever it was. She had the bead right on that door. She meant business. She would have. She'd have pulled the trigger. I have no doubt in my mind she would have. Went on 5 or 10 minutes, no noise. 20 minutes passed, no noise. So she told me, she said, you stay on the bed. And she still had the gun up. I'm going to take a peek. I don't think I'd do that if I was you. She made about 3 steps, and that door handle started jiggling again. I don't know what the hell kept her from pulling that trigger. But all of a sudden the door handle quit shaking, the doorknob quit jiggling. She took a couple deep breaths. She put her hand on that door handle, and she still had the gun up to her shoulder and her hand on the trigger. She flung that door open and grabbed that gun and aimed it outside. There wasn't nothing out there. Well, that was enough to scare the shit out of her. She started to believe me. So we head down the hallway back to the living room, and I was telling her about things that were going on. But I said, you can't tell my dad because he'll beat the shit out of me. She goes, well, I'm going to call your uncle, her husband, at the time. She calls and tells him, you get your ass over here now. There's some weird shit going on here. And while she's talking to him on the phone, the scratching starts. And our damn telephone cord was probably about 30, 40 foot long. The one that hung on the wall. She walks with the phone over to turn the porch lights on and look outside. I thought I wouldn't do that if I was you. She goes, what the hell is that scratching? I don't know. All of a sudden, she pulls that curtain back, and there's two dog men looking straight in the window at her. She screamed. My uncle must have hung up and was on his way. She takes me in there in the living room, and we're sitting there in the middle of the floor. And she got that 12-gauge shotgun ready in case something comes out. They won't come in. Well, we started hearing something in the basement. I said, the latch is locked. So a little bit of time passed. My uncle showed up. He come running up to the door. He just got in the house, and here come the equipment driving by itself, coming up toward the house, and the scratching started in again. He opened the curtain and looked, and the dog men going around the house, scratching on the house. Now the equipment's going around the house. He said, your dad got another gun? I said, got 3 or 4 of them in there in the bedroom. Getting to that bedroom to get one might be a bitch. He wasn't scared of too much. He ran in there and grabbed a shotgun, a whole bunch of shells. Come in there and he said, what the hell's going on here? Who the hell's driving that equipment? I said, there ain't nobody driving it. Watch when it goes by. He said, well, what the hell are them things looking at me? I said, that's werewolves. I didn't know they were dogmen at the time. That's werewolves. He goes, get the hell out of here. I said, what the hell did you see? Ask your wife. She goes, he's telling the truth. That's not somebody dressed up in a costume. She goes, no. Well, who the hell's driving them trucks? I said, I told you, nobody. He pulls the curtain back and looked. There was a dog man still standing there staring at him, teeth just a-shining, eyes a-glowing, and these vehicles driving around the house by themselves. Nobody driving them. Well, now he's about to lose his friggin' marbles because he can't explain it. And we're hearing something in the basement. He said, you guys get behind me. He goes, Jen, that gun loaded? She goes, yep. He goes, let's see what the hell's in the basement. Whatever it is, I'm planning on shooting it if it comes out. He opened that door up, and we could see the shadows down there on the floor. There's him, me, and behind me is his wife. And we're going down them stairs. As we're going down, them shadows get bigger. The shadow hand that we was seeing looked real elongated. We just thought maybe it was just play of the light from down the basement. We got down far enough. The dryer was moved, and that little door was open. Them 2 dog men are standing there, and they're leaned over. My uncle starts coming backwards as we're going down. He fired off 3 shots, and I'll tell you what, that goddamn made my ears ring. My aunt's ears are ringing. His ears are ringing. That old 12 gauge kicked so hard it knocked him right into us on the stairs. And them dog men went down through that little door into the lower basement. He said, where in the hell did they go to? I said, they went down that lower basement. There's another basement that's lower. So he loaded the gun again, and she gave him cover in case they come out of there. We headed to that little door and stepped in there. He looked around, and we don't see nothing, but we noticed there was another door at the other end of that second basement door, and he told Jen to give him cover, and he opened that door all right. Wasn't nothing there, just a big long underground tunnel. So we decided to follow it. We followed it all right, quite a long ways, and it come out way back in the back part of the farm. Come out in the ditch. We got to the end, we didn't see nothing, so my uncle pulled the door shut, and we headed back up to the house through that tunnel. Went up to that lower basement and up into the regular basement, upstairs into the house. Trucks and shit still driving around out there, going crazy. Now those two are about to lose their mind, but she's trying to explain to him what I've been telling her. And he goes, I don't give a shit what your dad does. He better not touch you one time for telling us the truth. He said, this is fucking crazy. I said, yeah, it's a wonder we ain't been killed yet. He goes, why the hell did you guys stay? I said, because we ain't got no place else to go. Well, that time the sun starts coming up. He goes, will it ever stop us? Yeah, it'll stop here shortly. And one by one, the equipment headed back down to the machine shed, parked, and shut off. The scratching quit on the house. The shit in the house that was going on stopped. Now, this man sat there and he had a case of beer iced down in his car. And he loved beer. But he damn sure wasn't in no big hurry to go out that door to go get that beer. He told Jen to make him a big pot of coffee. Them two sat there drinking coffee, trying to rationalize what had just happened. Needless to say, after that night, they never come back to our farm again. If we wanted to see them, we had to go to their house, which was probably about 7 miles away from there. They never ever come back. There wasn't enough beer, cigarettes, or coffee to get either one of those two to come back to that house. And years later, before they got divorced, every time they'd come around, we'd be shooting the shit. I said, remember that little haunted house? We kind of laugh about it then, but it wasn't funny back then when it happened. It's wonder we all hadn't been killed. But anyway, they said next time we're going to babysit, they're going to babysit me at their house. They wouldn't come back that farm. There ain't enough money or beer or cigarettes to get them come back. We were still stuck there. Never did figure out why the place was cursed or so haunted. But it was dangerous. I mean, you know how heavy a big cast iron skillet is. Imagine that coming out of the oven, and Mom had 3 or 4 of them, different sizes. Imagine be sitting there and one of those come out of that damn oven, flying across the room, and if you're right in the direct path, guess what? You're going to get a kiss with a damn skillet. Them things are heavy. I know, we have one here. You get hit with one of those bad boys, it'll knock you out, make you see stars. Be like you got hit by Mike Tyson. Knock you the hell out. KO, first round. guns at nighttime sometimes would just, nobody was handling them. They was in a corner, would just go off. It was a dangerous place. We was sitting there one night, had the fireplace going. My dad was gone again. It's just me and my mom there. We went into the kitchen, get something to drink, come back, sit and watch TV, wait for the fiasco to stop. Smelt smoke. Went running to the living room to look. The fireplace was going, but the mantelpiece was burning. Somehow, fire had come out. Wasn't just a few seconds, now the whole living room's on fire. Mom said, I don't give a shit what's going on outside. We ain't getting burned up. We run out the door onto the porch. Then we run off to the porch, out to the yard gate where the yard gate was, and got in the car and looked back. Nothing. We looked around and there wasn't nothing going on outside, so we made a run back to the house just to see. Nothing. I went on into the kitchen and into the living room. There was a small crackling fire going in the fireplace, but nothing was burnt. But we had seen that sumbitch catch fire. Smelt the smoke, seen the smoke. The mantle was on fire. But when we come back, nothing. It's almost like we imagined it. Just weird shit like that. There was always bugs in that house, and I don't know how many times we had the exterminator come out, but he's like, the spray didn't work. Maybe they're immune to it. I don't know. But then it comes to the point where my mom thought we needed some kind of, this is back before fire or smoke alarms and all that shit, you know. My mom decided she'd get me 2 dogs. So she got me a wiener dog, little red one, called her Duchess. Then she got me a fireman dog, one of them Dalmatians, them white with black spots and black ears. One was big and one was small, but they were both fat as hell. They both looked like Fat Albert. Well, they become my best buddies. She figured she had heard from somebody that the little one would cause the big one to go into attack mode, and that they thought that animals could pick up on paranormal activity before people could. So she was going to try that. Well, I was happy as a lark. Had a little short fat dog and a big fat dog. And the big fat dog she was a one family dog. Anybody else, she'd eat their ass off. Kind of like the one I got now. Well, things were going good till one night. My mom woke up. I was laying there beside her in bed. My dad was gone someplace partying again. She started to get out of bed to go to the bathroom. The only thing was, the bed wasn't on the floor no more. It was up at the ceiling. So when she started to sit up, she smacked her head and realized the bed and us was up in the air. When she hit her head, that bed dropped. It bounced both of us right out of bed. That's how hard it hit. Knocked the wind out of us. We run out of that bedroom, headed for the kitchen. We got in there. The table was in the center of the floor like it normally was. The chairs were stacked up one on top of the other. The dishes that was in the cabinet are stacked on top of the chairs, which is stacked on top of the table. And when we come around the corner there into the kitchen, all this shit crashed to the floor. Scared the shit out of us. We turned around and started running back toward the bedroom from where we come, cut through the hallway and come into the living room from the back side. Curled up there in the center of the floor, bawling, both of us. Well, them dogs come running in there, and the Dalmatian stood there between the kitchen and living room, that doorway there, and the little Dachshund was sitting there barking, and then she started barking, but they was barking as they was walking backward toward us. So something was obviously in there coming toward us. Short time after that, I was with my dad out in the field. My mom left. She moved out. No note, no goodbye, no warning, just gone. And a duffel bag packed full of clothes. Well, my dad was one of them hardcore old bastards. He's like, piss on her, good riddance. So I was stuck with him. He was a mean drinker. Well, now he had to not be out partying, he had to take care of me. It didn't mean he didn't drink. He had done it at the house instead of taking off, whoring around. Well, several days and into weeks. One night he's laying there watching TV, watching the news. Things have been pretty calm. So I was riding this bike thing all the way around the stairs, and the dogs was following me. Every lap, them dogs followed me. My dad's sitting there drinking beer and laying on the couch there watching TV, watching the news. I go around and I heard something up the stairs, and I was afraid to look up there because it was dark. But you ever heard of curiosity killed the cat? Well, this curiosity ended up scaring the shit out of me. I finally got up enough courage to stop in front of that darkened stairwell that went upstairs. And lo and behold, there was a man sitting up there. Them two dogs wasn't saying a damn thing. He goes, hey. And I'm looking, but I don't want to. And I'm looking up there and, yeah. You tell your dad I want to talk to him. Yes, sir. Anything else? You tell him I want to talk to him. I took off. Them dogs was following me. I went over where my dad was at and tugged on his pant leg. I said, hey, there's a man upstairs sitting on the stairs wants to talk to you. He goes, get the hell out of here. I'm going to whip your ass. I don't need that. I hauled back ass in there through the kitchen. The guy goes, hey. I stopped. I'm not wanting to look. I look, turn my head away. Yeah? You tell your dad I want to talk to him? Yes, sir. You go tell him I want to talk to him. Now. Yes, sir. I went around again. Got where my dad was at. I said, hey, that man still wants to talk to you, and he's mad. Get your ass out of here, I'm going to whip your ass. Trying to watch the news. I go around several more times like that, and each time I stop and tell my dad. The last time I come around, me and the dogs, he grabbed me by the arm, pulled me up, and was holding me up as high as he could get me. When I get around the corner, and there ain't no man up that stairs, I'm going to beat your ass right where I'm holding you. And he meant business, and I knew it. We got around the corner, and he goes, I told you I'm going to beat your... And he stopped. And I noticed he's looking up them stairs at that guy sitting up there. He lowered me down to the ground. He told them two dogs to get underneath that damn chair, and he set me in that chair, and he said, you stay right there, boy, and don't move. Yes, sir. He goes over there to the stove, fills the percolator up, coffee percolator, full of water and with coffee, set it on the stove, turn the burner on. He goes, mister, I don't know who the hell you are, or what the hell you want. You got two choices. One, tell me what the hell you want, what the hell you're doing here. Or two, we're going to Fifth City. He meant it. He wasn't joking. You got until this coffee gets done and get your ass down here to this kitchen table. Tell me what the hell's going on, what you're doing here. How'd you get past this dog? The guy didn't say nothing. The percolator gets done and he goes, mister, I'm telling you, I will beat your ass like beating a drum. The guy didn't say nothing. He's just staring at my dad. My dad pours him a cup of coffee. Lights him a cigarette, starts drinking the coffee and smoking a cigarette. I'm going to tell you one more time. Get your ass down here. The guy didn't do nothing. He just sat there. He's sitting on the frickin' stairs. We thought. My dad finishes that cup of coffee, finishes his cigarette, puts that in an ashtray, reaches into the cabinet behind the drawer, and pulls out 3 butcher knives. He walks around the table to the stairs. And he goes, you son of a bitch, I told you. And he started throwing knives. One at a time. This guy didn't flinch. He didn't look. He just kept staring down them stairs at my dad. Not even blinking. My dad threw the last knife, and it went right past this guy's head. The guy didn't flinch. He didn't say shit. He just kept staring at my dad with them milky eyes. My dad said, piss on this shit. I ain't got enough knives. He looks at me and he goes, you keep your ass in that chair, boy. No matter what you see or what happened, you keep your ass in that chair. Yes, sir. He went to run up them stairs and he made it up about 4 steps upward on that stair. This guy did not stand up like this. He was sitting. His whole body raised up. Now he's not touching the stairs at all. His body turns and he's still in the seating position. He floats right into the wall and disappears into the wall. Needless to say, my dad stopped dead in his tracks. And he jumped off the stairs backwards. Stumbles a little bit, catches himself, grabs me, and tells them dogs, let's get your ass out of here now. He's running with me like a football, and them dogs are following real close behind. Out the door we went, we got in the truck, we left. Went to a friend of the family's and spent the night at his mom and dad's house. They didn't bother asking. They just told us to come on in and go upstairs and go to sleep. Tried to tell you about that old house. I didn't know they even knew. Obviously, they tried to warn my dad about even going out there looking at that place, let alone buying it and moving in. Well, while I was staying there, I found out they did warn him. They told us we could stay there as long as we wanted to. We stayed there for a while, a couple weeks. And then for whatever reason, my dad said, nope, we gotta go back home. I don't know why. They told us we could stay as long as we wanted to. Don't go back out there. But we went, me and him. I didn't want to, but I didn't have no choice. I was a kid. We pulled up out there in the front, sat there for a little bit. Walked in the house, and it was just calm and quiet as could be. Till that night. Again, Dad, after supper, was laying there watching TV on the couch, and I wasn't riding a bike or anything around the house. Fuck that. I done seen no man piss on that shit. I was sitting there at the foot of my dad, playing with my trucks and stuff, and petting the two dogs. All of a sudden, every one of them guns that was in there in the bedroom fired one shot. The funny thing was, it didn't make a hole in the ceiling or the wall. It didn't make a hole nowhere. But you could smell the gunpowder. And them gun barrels were still warm because my dad came up off that couch like somebody had shot him. Ended up going to the bedroom, and there the guns were, laying on the bed. Barrel still warm. Room still smelled like gunpowder. Dad checked to make sure they saw unloaded. He raised the bed up and tossed them in between the bed, two mattresses. And they wasn't even loaded. So how'd they go off? Wasn't there a hole in the floor of the ceiling where they went off? I mean, the smell of gunpowder. Don't know. Needless to say, Dad slept on the couch that night, and I was curled up in front of him. The dogs were curled up at the foot of the couch, because it's a big old couch. Both dogs was up there, so there was me and Dad and both dogs curled up. And I don't think none of us went to sleep until the sun popped up. It was just crazy, crazy shit. But eventually my mom come back and we asked her what she'd seen. She never would tell us what she'd seen. I do know this, that one time when she was there and my dad was back in the fields working, and all my cousins was out there. One cousin come running and said he seen a panther coming toward the house. So all of us kids went in the house, and my aunts were there. This panther did. Come right up in the yard. Come right up on the porch. Laid against the friggin' door. Great big old Black Panther. Now, was it a real Black Panther, or was it something these ghosts was creating? I don't know. It looked real to me. But then again, so did that guy sitting on the stairs. All of a sudden, that panther sounded like it was purring. It was leaning up against the door, relaxing. All of a sudden they got up. They didn't run. Walked out toward the front gate. But as soon as they got past where the gate used to be, it vanished. It literally vanished into thin air. So was it real? I don't know. But it did happen. And everybody's seen it. Well, a little bit of time passed and Dad took off again. Me and my mom was home. Here come a shitload of cars down our driveway. And we were sitting in the house. We didn't recognize none of them big fancy black cars. Looked like big Cadillacs. We did see the local sheriff we knew. He got out of one of those cars, and these guys dressed in these black suits and black hats come up on the porch. The sheriff was like, I have nothing to do with this, but my hands are tied. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? One of those guys in the suit started talking. He's like, get your shit. Get one change of clothes, one toy for the boy, your personal jewelry. Get the fuck out of here. Mister, we own this property. No, you did own it. It's ours now. I was like, bullshit. The sheriff goes, I just come to make sure they be nice. That's all he said. Then they approached the porch a little closer. Get one change of clothes, your personal jewelry, a change of clothes for the boy, one toy. Get. Then he pulled out a paper. The sheriff looked at it. He goes, it looks legal to me, but I have no authority in this matter. Yeah, my mom, the paper, my mom's looking at it. It looked legal to her, too. She'll give me time to go get me and him a change of clothes, and my jewelry, and one toy. They said, you got 10 minutes, or we're coming in there. So Mom was hurry up getting stuff, and I got to pick one toy. We come to the front door and started to head toward the car that she had. As we walked past, and he was like, get. Now, not tomorrow. Now, get the fuck out of here. Get off this property. My mom didn't say anything. She just kind of dropped her head, and we went out to the car. The same guy followed us after, and he goes, what are you doing? She goes, get in my car, and we're leaving. He goes, no. The car stays. You two walk. And take those fucking dogs with you. So my mom's leading the Dalmatian, because she would bite. And the wiener dog was just following us. And the sheriff again. I didn't know anything about this. One of the guys turned and looked at the sheriff and said, you need to shut your goddamn mouth. You're just here because you know them. Shut your damn mouth. So we started walking. Them cars turned around and followed behind us while we walked all the way up that frickin' driveway. When we got to the end of the driveway, there was about 10 or 15 of them black Cadillacs sitting up there, and these guys all dressed about the same with dark sunglasses on, dark hats. When we got there, we thought, it was a joke or something. And one of the guys popped his head out and goes, "Get." My mom's bawling. So we turned out of the driveway onto the gravel road, headed toward the highway, walking. Luckily, our lady we knew that lived just down the road was headed in town that day. She pulled over, asked us what was going on. My mom's bawling. Mom's trying to tell her why she's sobbing, and the lady said, "Get in the car. Put the dogs in here and get in. I'll take you wherever you want to go." She took us to my mom and dad's house. We went there and stayed until finally my dad showed up, which was several weeks later. Don't know what made that house like that. I don't even know who these guys were, because my grandpa started calling around, and my grandpa had a lot of connections. He got a hold of that banker. That banker said, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I did not repossess the house. You guys, it's bought and paid for. You don't owe me nothing." Grandpa said, "Well, who in the hell is those guys?" He goes, "I have no clue what you're talking about." Now, was these guys the men in black? Very well could have been. It fits their M.O. and the same kind of clothing they'd wear, and about the same kind of temperament. But never did know. Never did figure out what made that place like that. What caused it to be so bad. But all I know is, not just one occasion, but several occasions, it did try to kill us. What kept it from killing us, I have no clue. I went past that place several years later. One night by myself. It was raining, lightning. I thought that was a good time, because there won't be a lot of people out there in that area. I went down that, turned off the highway onto the gravel road and headed down there and come to the driveway and turned in. I stopped and sat there. I thought it was my headlights reflecting off of the windows. So I started driving back there real slow, watching. But when I got within about a city block of it, I noticed the curtains, there wasn't no windows in it, the curtains were blowing out where the windows were. So I don't know what I was seeing in those windows. I thought it was my headlights on the windows, but it wasn't, because there wasn't no windows in the place. I decided to get out of the car because I had to piss. I don't know what made me do it, but I hit the key and shut it off, and I'm standing there pissing between the door and the seat there on the ground. I get done, I get back in the car and start to hit the key. There ain't even a click. So I pull the headlights on so the inside lights will come on so I can see maybe what the hell's going on with the car. The lights wouldn't even come on. I tried several more trying to start that son of a bitch, and I couldn't. It wouldn't start, wouldn't click or nothing. And I started hearing growling noises. The front door on that house slammed open. I hit the key one more time, and luckily the son of a bitch started. I shit you not, I spun around as hard as I could run that car. I got the hell out of there. I got the fuck out of there. That place is still cursed and haunted, just like it always has been and always will be. Later years, the guy who bought the place was going to turn it into a hunting preserve. He put a big old nasty fancy trailer back there. He come from up around New York. Everybody out there kept telling him, "You ain't going to spend the night there, are you?" And he goes, "Well, I brought my camping trailer." They're like, "Okay, it's up to you." Yeah, as soon as it got dark, he didn't even make it till 10 o'clock. He left that night and went out to the city lake uptown and camped out the rest of the night. Next morning, he went in and paid for his camping that night. He went back to New York and ain't been back since. Place is just sitting empty now. He still owns it, but it just sat there empty. That brand new trailer is still sitting there. Ain't even been leveled up or nothing. Scared that poor guy to death. He ain't going back there. Neighbors out there, people that live around that farm, they still see weird shit out there at nighttime. Orbs and all kinds of shit. Ain't nobody wants to go on that property. I might tell you some more about it later on, but I just want to come on here tonight and tell you some more about it. Do a part 2 on it. That's what tonight was, part 2. At the moment, that's all I care to say about it. There is a little bit more, but it's hard enough trying to talk about it. I still have nightmares about it. I hope you enjoyed tonight, and if I feel like talking about more in deeper detail, I'll think about it for a while. It's hard enough just trying to do this. I hope you enjoyed tonight. This is Henry. I'll catch you in the next one. Y'all be good to one another. Thanks and good night.